Hey guys, tonight we're celebrating my 200th show, and medium Nancy Matz is going to be here along with me. So join us in 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. How is everyone? Let me get adjusted here. You can hear me? Okay. Let me get the chat room. Okay. Good afternoon. How is everyone? My name's Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. It's Casual Fridays with Dancing Matz. Also, it's a special show. Yesterday, I hate cords hanging. Yesterday, I did my 200th show in this format. Now, when I say this format, video format. I spent probably, I'll bring Nancy on to help me out with this too. I have probably done in all, when you think about it. Okay, this is the other Nancy. When you think about it, I have probably done 1,000 shows, if not more. But the bulk of them were on Block Talk Radio and Talk Shoe. And that, like I said last night, being a newspaper reporter, a lot of the newspaper people don't like going in front of a camera. They do now because of social media. I mean, you've got newspapers all over the place, reporters showing themselves on camera now, for doing live reports and stuff for the websites. But newspaper reporters back in my day, I'm Gen X, we're not into things like going in front of the camera to do news reports and stuff. However, when I was working for one of the newspapers, it wasn't Will, it was the other one. Placerville, that's it. When I was working for I'm sorry, it's been a long day. If anybody saw my Facebook post, it says sometimes there just aren't enough rocks. Anyway, when I was working for the Placerville paper, because I was filming the California Haunts TV show, which was on public access, because I was filming that, I had the camera equipment to go live. So there were a few times that we actually took that equipment out and went live. Not live, but, we did a record and then up on the website. And then cell phones got better. And then all this started. But, yeah. So I was doing that with that paper for it was a brief time that we did that. But eventually the cell phones got 100% better than they were. If you remember the cell phones, I'm going to show my age. Nancy probably remembers them. The cell phones at one time either looked like a regular telephone or they were big bulky things that you carried. I remember my first cell phone was a big bulky thing. But anyway, so that's where that's at. And so coming in to do this show, when I decided to do it again, in fact, let me get Nancy on. We'll do that first and then go with it. Getting ahead of myself. Uh-oh, no audio. Can't hear you. Fix it. She's figuring it. Anyway, so I'm gonna digress a little bit too with this, in that I intended I did a couple of live shows, not my shows, but other people's shows, to keep my name out there, keep the team's name out there, during the time that my mother was sick. During the time of my mother's gradual fall, as they say, as she got older. So, anyway. I don't know what she's doing. Let me check my settings. See if I got her. Let me see. Hang on a second. Okay, she's not muted there. Let's see what we got. I could kick from studio for fun. No, she's there. She's just not working. Anyway, we need to get there. Can't hear you. Where'd it go? It didn't go up. What the hell is going on here? Oh, not even the chat room. Okay, hang on. Why is it defaulting back? Stop that. Okay, try again. There we go. That's just ready. Fix your mic. This happened last week too. She's muted somehow. Give us a second, guys. I can't hear you. She'll fix it. But anyway, she's trying to figure it out. I took time off of working. I essentially retired to take care of my father and then my mother. And then during this time, I was doing the show off and on Blog Talk, and I liked it over there for the most part. That when I first started doing the show back in, I guess it was like the late '90s, early 2000s. Blog Talk was almost the only game in town, and so there were only like two or three paranormal people, ghost hunters, on Blog Talk doing a show. So it was kind of a novelty. So people hadn't caught on to Blog Talk yet, and people still can't hear you. Oh, yeah, I don't know. The only thing, let me check something here. This has happened to me before. Nope. Let me switch speakers. Hang on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Looks like I'm going solo tonight. Anyway, so when I first wanted to start doing a radio show, like I said, there were hardly anybody doing them, so I wanted to do one. So I turned around and I was buying different stuff. I didn't know what to do. I mean, this was the time of dial-up. Okay, AOL dial-up. Everybody had AOL dial-up. And so I didn't quite know how to do it. I didn't understand bandwidth and all that. So I bought this thing called Pirate Radio, that software, and I was trying to use that, not realizing that how quick bandwidth gets used up. I don't know if anybody understands it. But bandwidth is like, as I chat here, it's kind of like when you go in to see your internet figures and see how much internet you used. Bandwidth figures into that. So I got poor Tim Yancey on with me, and I let me message her. Hang on. Okay. So I buy Pirate Radio, not really knowing what the heck bandwidth was, and I'm using it during the show, and I'm talking to Tim Yancey, was my first guest that I ever had, and he just passed away. And if anybody doesn't know who that is, he is a paranormal investigator that was around for a real long time, and he was actually on the show. And he was friends with the Amityville horror family. He knew them, which is why I had him on, because I wanted to talk about the Amityville horror for my first show. And so I had him on. I think he was in his backyard that night, and because he lived in Florida. And we got about 1/3 through the show, and I ran out of bandwidth. Boom, cut off. So I, my tail between my legs and all that stuff. And you know what? Let me do this. I want to reset. I'm gonna go out and come back in. Everybody, hang loose. If you lose me, come back in. Okay? If you lose me, come back in. And I'm gonna try and maybe. Okay, I'm back in. So I don't know. If you lose me, come back in. So anyway, Tim was very patient with me. I called him on the phone, explained it to him, that I was a novice doing this, and that that any advice he could give me would help. And he said, "Well, why don't you look at Blog Talk Radio, because that seems to be where everybody's going." And I said, "Okay." So I signed up over at Blog Talk, and back then it was, I'm not going to give the prices out, but back then it was like for an hour, And so I started out doing the show, brought Tim back, did the first show. And at that time, I was doing like shows once a week. I wasn't sure what I was really doing. So then, Nancy was an early guest because I met Nancy, as you guys have heard before, when I was in college doing the cemetery tours at the old city cemetery in Sacramento, and so I remembered her. And plus, after I went to work at the Woodland paper, we did a Halloween thing, and so we went back to we went back to the cemetery tour once I was a full fledged journalist. So I called Nancy and asked her to come on, and then that's where everything launched. We were just friends from that on, working together and stuff. We even had, I think, at some point a weekly show over there that we would do together. But it's like this. It's like with this one, I gradually, it's hot in here. I gradually built up from one show to two shows to three shows to four shows to five shows. To where I was doing nightly shows over there. And then then when I wasn't doing the nightly shows, I even went to 2 hour shows at one point, where I would have one guest on early and another guest on later on. So I was doing that, and stayed at Blog Talk for a long time. And then all of a sudden, lost Nancy. She'll be back. Then all of a sudden, so it used to be when that happened, you guys should get shook up. It doesn't happen anymore. It used to, and when all that happened, everybody caught on to Blog Talk Radio, so everybody came on to Blog Talk Radio. So then the connections and everything would get overloaded. And so there were issues over there, which they fixed. I'll give them credit for that, which they fixed. There's nothing wrong with Blog Talk. And so I did that for almost 10 years, off and on. And as my mother and father got sicker, I wouldn't do it as much. In fact, we were still on dial-up when we had our house up in Northern California, up right in the Shadow Mount Shasta. We were on dial-up, and I would take my laptop up there, and I would do the show from Northern California on that dial-up from up there. I'd do it in that room. Nothing. Can't hear you. I don't know. Not in the stars. Keep trying. Anyway, so I would do it that way. Like when I would go on vacation, the laptop would go with me, and I'd do it from wherever. And then, as my mother got sick, once my father passed away, as my mother got sick, because all my stuff was in the small office, and I was doing stuff over the small. Well, it's a big studio, small room. What I call my big studio now. I was doing it in there, and then I started to move in here. I moved everything over in this big room because this room's huge. And so I got all my computer. I got 4 computers back here and whatnot. And I decided that just about a year before my mother died, I decided that I wanted to put a sound booth in here to do the show in. And so that project started. And I took like a year off away from shows. Almost 2 years. What is that? What's Wi-Fi point? Okay. Wildfire update.
How's that?
Yes, you're back.
It had something to do with a toggle that you don't usually. The second time today it's crashed.
It's always, it's always that.
So we have internet in the ground.
Yeah.
So Hornbrook is.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is the ground up there.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what happened. I spent like 3 hours a day on headset. So what happened between 12 o'clock and now?
Yeah. That's what my day's been.
And
I had a day like that. I posted on Facebook a few minutes ago. Sometimes there just aren't enough rocks, right?
I'm so sorry, everybody, but we'll spend more time with you. We'll tack this on the other.
We're happy. It's Friday. We don't care.
Oh, let's just relax for a minute. Where's my coffee? Oh, sweetie, I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's fine. I mean, I was going to tell everybody about the history of the show anyway, because people don't realize how long I've been on the air.
Oh my God. Excuse me. So I started Blog Talk Radio because I did hear you talk about it. I can't remember if it was 07 or 08. And I know that's really, and I did lots and lots of shows, lots. And then around 2010 or 11, we started doing Blog Talk Radio with Port Orange Paranormal with George Lopez. And you had me come in, and I don't remember, they were investigating a town, and she says to George, I have somebody that you might find interesting. Calls me up, get on the phone. I go, you brat, I don't even know what we're doing here. And because I had done it before, I thought it was kind of crazy and wonderful, you know, that I was invited somewhere else. And my gosh, we have so much history. She said that I've done at least 40 shows with her, but then I did some with George.
Yeah.
And I also did some with another group. Um, it's been so long. I think there was a couple others I was on.
Right.
I was on a lot of Blog Talk radio shows. I was always invited. So I was on a few people. One lady was very, very popular, and she unfortunately passed away.
Oh
But it was,
yeah.
oh,
Yes. 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 Yes.
yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes.
Yes.
So I was on her show quite a few times. And then there was a tall, lanky guy who was a astrologer, and I can't remember his names, but it's really fun. I've done nothing but have pleasurable experiences, except when it crashes.
Well,
My
what's
computer just
fun is that Blog Talk at first, depending on which platform, they didn't have the hours that they allow you now, where you can get like a 2-hour block. It used to be like an hour. Remember?
I
Depending
don't.
on,
George used to get more. I think he paid more.
yeah, depending on what level you were at. So I only had an
Yeah.
hour. It was funny because I knew Nancy had her accounts, so we would do these investigations, on location, and again, we didn't have cell phones or anything like that, so. The way I would do it was that I would be broadcasting, and my team had walkie-talkies, and they would be talking to the walkie-talkies, and I'd have it up to the mic, people could hear. But the problem was you only had an hour, so poor Nancy would have to stay up because we'd be out there at like 10 or 11, and when I ran out of time, we'd switch over to Nancy's network.
I do remember all that.
Yeah,
Oh
and then
gosh,
everybody would have to go over there to see the rest of the
you got a good
investigation.
memory, and I do remember a lot of investigations up there in Placerville. Did
Yeah.
quite a few, and then we switched over to Ione or some other places.
Yeah, we were moving Placerville, Ione, Murphy's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all those places.
And then
The butcher shop.
The butcher. Oh my God, yes, the butcher shop. That was crazy. That was where we got the sound of the because it had been a saloon at one time too, and that's where we got the sound in the back room of the glass, the shot glass. It sounded like a shot glass getting slammed down.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The newspaper was there with us too. So yeah, so there've been a lot of adventures between Blog Talk and then when I got upset with Blog Talk because, like I said, at first there were hardly any paranormal groups on there, and then all of a sudden it was inundated, and so the quality kind of went, down, and so I kind of got away from Blog Talk, went on TalkShoe for a while, where nobody saw me.
TalkShoe?
Remember TalkShoe?
Vaguely.
Yeah, they were the other guys. Because they were a real nice network, actually. They weren't too bad.
I do remember, but I can't remember because after a while, all kind of blurs.
Yeah, it'll kind of
because
blur.
all this time I was also working and doing my job. And
so I was working a real job too, doing that. In the meantime, I was in that back room. Then I was in this room over here, over on the wall. And this room's always had good sound quality anyway. But I had made a decision the year before my mother died that I wanted, because in college I majored in journalism, recording studio engineering, and photography. It kind of all fits together, And I did some stuff for like stagecraft too, to learn stuff about building sets and whatnot. So I learned how to build a studio. So I really wanted to have a sound booth dedicated for the show if I decided to go back into the show. That was a big if.
I remember all that.
Because I was on a break. And so it took me a while to build it. And my poor sister, I'm forever like doing crafts in my house. And so she's forever throwing her hands up in the air going, oh God, what now? And
as though she had a vote. I mean, really. Living somewhere else.
And then I walk in, and then she goes out for a little while. I decide I'm going to do it. I'm the kind of person that Nancy knows this, when I get a wild hair up my wazoo, I just attack and do stuff. And my poor sister walks in.
I'm guilty of that also.
And the closet door is sitting in the hallway. And she comes in and goes, what the heck is that in the hallway for? And I said, because I'm building a studio. And I got the eye rolls.
Now, was this when she was living? Because I don't remember her living with you guys.
No, that was when she was just up here for a while when my mom was still alive.
Oh, okay.
I just decided, because since my mom was out of here anyway, I was just going to build my studio. And it was funny as heck because she's just a perplexed look on her face when she saw the thing, the door propped up. And then I said, well, I promise I'm not going to build it like permanent so that it doesn't ruin the walls or anything in the closet, which I did. But then it was, well, what am I going to build? How am I going to do it? Because people had told me egg crates and all this. And I thought, do egg crates? It's silly.
No,
Kids, you
I've
can
heard
build a
that too.
studio. You can, and this closet's not that big, believe me. It's about as big as the front seat of my freaking car. But it's sound. I mean, you can record music in here. It's so nice. But
Mm-hmm.
you can do them cheap. I found out you can do them cheap, and I did do it cheap. I did it on the cheap, and I got my foam backing at dollar store, foam poster board for the
Mm-hmm.
backing,
Mm-hmm.
and then Monica, my producer, helped me get the inch foam, sound
It,
foam for the walls,
oh, okay.
and then I used
I remember
removable.
seeing that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I used removable tape. Like you do for posters on your walls. That stuff they sell.
Two-sided tape.
Two-sided removable tape. Yeah, so that
Mm-hmm.
when we take it down, it won't mar the wall. So it's all stuck on. So yeah, so I was able to do it all. The only thing that was bad was I should have done the bottom first because my back was feeling good. Because that's what took the longest to complete it. Because while I started doing the show again, I did it in the big studio. Once my mother passed away, Monica and I went over and built the big studio together. Back there, painted it up and everything, and got it for photography. And so I moved this show in the big studio. And what happened was I was thinking about going on Blog Talk, and I didn't know because I was real price conscious. And I'm not saying
Who
Blog
isn't?
Talk's high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying Blog Talk's high. Blog Talk I think is fairly reasonable for what they're charging and for the service they have. Because you
Now
guys
it's
can
really
call,
pricey, but I keep getting.
yeah,
You can
you
get it
guys
for
can
half
call
price
in
or
over
6
there on the
months.
phone, and all that stuff. But I had to weigh this whole thing, and I looked around, and it's like StreamYard was the cheapest way to go, and then that could be on Facebook and stuff. So that was the decision to do that, and that's when it was like, well, God, I've got to be on camera. God help me. So I
Sorry,
built it all
I
up in here.
understand this statement.
It was like, people gonna want to watch my face on TV. Whoa.
Oh
But what
gosh.
scared me the most is my sister. After I started doing this, she goes, because she's got like a 50-inch TV, and she goes, "Oh, by the way, when I'm watching you, I got it full screen." Whoa!
Oh gosh. My son
That
has one
hurt.
of those really big TVs, and I wonder if he's ever watched Mom. Oh, Mom.
All big as life. I didn't realize how big it would look until because I've got a 65-inch in my living room.
I,
And one night I happened to just be, how you can like
yeah.
project Facebook up. I hit the wrong button and projected myself up on the TV. Ah,
Well, you don't understand, Mom. This was her gift to Mom.
yeah, this is
And
my
so she used to watch Disney movies, and all the little characters would jump on the screen and movies that she was. And so she
yeah.
lived Disneyland,
Yeah,
Grandma,
so that's what we
Mama,
would
rather.
do is all those
Yeah,
like people were making those HD videos at Disneyland and going through the rides.
yeah.
This is what I would do. I had a 65-inch screen. I'd sit my mother there, and we'd
That
sing the
was Mom's
songs, and
life.
we'd be on
Yeah.
the ride. Yeah, that's what we would do. It was
Mom
my mom's
loved it,
TV.
though. I remember hearing her laughing. I mean, give a gift,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Just cherish every moment with your
yeah, and
parents.
that's what we did.
At
So
my age, I may be gone tomorrow. Live it up, Nancy. Oh, shoot.
go to Disney in your mind. It's all good. TikTok
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
TikTok, you can go to Disney every day. It's cool.
Oh,
So
God.
yeah, so it was nice in the other room because I had this big table in there I could stretch out. Lighting was good, and the lighting issue in here I didn't realize the lighting was going to be like it was either because the main light's like behind me over here, and the other room it was like above me over here, so the lighting was a lot better. So I had to fix the lighting, but it turned out nice. And so I started over there, doing the show. And when I first started, there were arguments with my producer because she wanted me to pay for a year, and I said, "Well, I don't even know if I'm going to be here in 2 months. I don't know if it's going to work out." I never.
And who was this?
Monica,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't.
yeah, it was Monica, and
I missed
yeah,
the service versus a
yeah, because
person.
Monica had helped me build that studio, and then she helped me build this one. And I remember her going, "Well, pay everything for a year," and I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to be here 2 months. I don't know if I'm going to like this format
Right?
at all." So I was going month to month, which irritated her. But it's because of what I wanted. Baby gets what baby. I hate to say it that way, but so then I started doing it on this way, and then it gradually grew. I mean, first I was doing a show on Sundays where I was telling doing like a haunted history piece for places that we've been. Thank you for making it ring. And then I got away from that, because I was doing 2 shows a week, just doing that one special show and then one show. And then little by little went from one show to 2 shows to 3 shows. And here I am. You see my face every day but Saturday, you know.
I'd like to
But
interject something here. Just because we're talking about this doesn't mean we're not trying to tell you, but we are building up that she has completed 200
yes,
shows. And
yes,
with that, with a varied audience that could be watching this, there must be things that you really found interesting. She would like,
yes,
we've been talking about a focus because
yes,
there's so many different kinds of people that could be on her show. But does there a broad interest to everybody? Would you do me a favor and write in the chat room so that she can kind of see an overview? Because we can go back, she can go back and look at
mm-hmm,
the chat room.
mm-hmm,
And if you have a particular topic that you like, and hopefully you'll vote for me,
mm-hmm,
but there must be other things that you really like. And one of the things I thought would be interesting to do is find the most haunted building structures in all different states, find the
right,
local ghost investigative group that investigated that one location and have them on so
right,
she can interview them and what they encountered in that ghost location. I'm
right.
at a place in my life now where there's no doubt. I just entertained 15 people this morning and called about, I've never met, I only knew one of them, two of them, but one of them really, really good. And seeing all the spirit people next to them. And it's like, that is such a gratifying thing. It's no longer if we survive, it's the ones that are stuck. We're kind of investigating spirit kind. Um, my husband is in Orville. I've just moved. We're going to move down here now. And there's two people here. The first owners, man and wife. And the husband has a heavy footprint, and the wife was delicate. And I thought to myself, I deal with this all the time. I've walked through, that man has walked through me. He was over 6 foot tall, long legs, heavy foot. You've heard that. And I thought to myself, oh, fudge. I don't want to deal with the spirit. I don't want to go in there and wonder where he is. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a book. Do spirit do dead people watch you in the shower? That's an actual book. And I ordered it and I realized today I thought, I'm going to read that. Yeah, they watch you. I was sitting down in the bathroom and
Yes,
a girl who had committed suicide, 19 years old, brought her great aunt in. I guess it was somebody that greeted her, and she went to the mother, and somehow the mother got the impression, called me up. She says, I don't think my daughter likes you. I says, let me tell you, I was naked, just washed my hair, and I was sitting down in the bathroom, and she shows up in the bathroom. What am I supposed to do? Right? And then she says, oh, actually, that was probably the best proof you could give because she was goth. It was in the '07, '08, '09.
this
And
just
she's,
goes back to why I don't go to bathrooms at a haunted location, because I
I
know
love
what's in the
that.
bathroom. That every bathroom you go into in a haunted location, they're
They're in.
watching.
Well, the thing is, and I'm being, this is funny because it's happened a lot to me. And you know what? I don't give a blah, 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 blah. You know why? Because I'm the one that's living in flesh and they are
Right.
not. And I can have as much coffee as I want. And I have grape water over here, everybody. It's that I'm enjoying this vehicle. And spirit people, they say to me, we have a meat jacket on and we have the ooey gooey meat jacket and we can have feelings and emotions and hugs and kisses and I'm all that goes along with it, and they can't. So they are in not envious, but they enjoy our living.
Hmm.
And they, even that they show up, well, this mother said, gave me the best proof in the whole world because she would spend 4 or 5 hours in the day in the bathroom because she was goth and she would be black and she spent all her time bathroom. If it's shown up in the kitchen, it wouldn't have meant anything to her.
Right. Right.
And then
So go
then
ahead.
she had a dream that she said, now I know Nancy, so I like her. So you talk to Nancy. Go ahead, Char, your turn.
So, like Nancy said, so this is what this show is about. It's a celebration of 200 episodes, but I wanna hone in. Okay, I want to hone in on what you guys like.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, it's because when I'm looking at the stats, let me put it this way: the download stats we get from the podcast, and what's going on at Facebook, and what's going on at YouTube, all the stats are different.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the happy medium is with these shows. It drives me insane. In fact, Nancy and I'll get on the phone and we're like, ugh, look at it all, trying to figure out who likes what and why. So if you guys, give input tonight or even later on to what you like. What topics do you like me covering the most?
Yeah, yeah. And we haven't, she has not covered a lot of UFO.
Yeah,
But if that's really what you want, well, let us know and we'll focus on UFO groups
yeah,
across the
yeah.
nation or ghost investigations. A lot of us don't travel. A lot of us, it's at a time in my life now that I'm doing other things I want to, but it may not happen.
Right,
But what
right,
if
right.
she investigated someplace that I would like to travel? And I have been to Bodie. I have been to a lot of different places, and it was in the past. And yet, wouldn't it have been fun to talk to somebody who did do an investigation there? And so that was my plug for her. And of course, I'm always going to be on. I do readings and whatever, whatever, whatever. It's like this is what I'm about. So if you enjoy this, let me know. Let her know.
Yeah,
We have other people on that are terribly, wonderfully gifted. And
yeah.
the lady last night, who has a huge
Dr.
background
Linda.
too.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
for Dr. Linda.
Right, right. And so Dr. Linda was another type of person that reads.
Yeah.
And so, let us know because this next 200, and I hope, why
I'm
not?
not, I'm
Big,
just saying.
dream big, honey.
Sometimes it feels like I've done 200
It does feel like, well, but you have to think about how many shows you accomplished
over the years. Yeah,
over the
yeah,
years, Blog
yeah,
Talk Radio. I
yeah,
can't even tell you, 100, 200. I did so many. And some of
yeah.
them are gone now on Blog Talk Radio because I wouldn't pay to keep it going. That's a downside, Blog Talk Radio. If you don't pay after so many years, then they say, well, we don't have the space, so we're just going to let it go.
That's why I'm moving mine right now. I'm getting
Oh,
everything
yeah.
shifted back
And
to
I've
Monday.
lost some of mine. So if any of you have old shows of mine, let me know,
Yeah.
because that would be,
What's nice about this is that Facebook makes a copy. It's over on my
I didn't know
over
that.
yeah, Facebook you can keep them as long as they're in your feed. They go in your video file.
Something
You
I
can
didn't
just
know.
look them
So,
up. I will go over it.
yeah. And I've come to where I want to do this. So I've joined with California Haunts and then on the Paranormal Channel, Sunday Night Dead. And the gentleman that's doing that show, he's had some dynamic family promotion moving. So I'll be I'll be adding that. And so the videos that I do with Shar are on my Nancy Matz Psychic YouTube channel. So go there, and if you find something you like, let me know because the topics, you know, you don't know. I have
I
a
am so glad you guys are here though. I mean, we got 10 people going live
watching,
right now from what I
and
can
then
see.
we don't
And
know
that's a
Facebook.
yeah. Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
just,
yeah,
is that
that's just on
Facebook or YouTube?
I think it's Facebook.
Is it Facebook? Well, hello,
Hard to
Facebook.
tell. Hard to tell with this thing.
Yeah, I like I said, it's
But
just like craziness.
we're
And
gonna talk
so
about dead people. Don't get us wrong. We're gonna get there. But right now we're celebrating, boy.
my favorite topic, huh?
We're
Dead people in
we're
every
parked
way.
out. We just lost somebody. Sorry.
Yeah, they're not interested in dead people.
No, we
Uh,
just want
and
to.
that's okay. That's okay. Just because I deal with it,
Yeah.
uh, and we all have a story, and so I also think it would be interesting to hear people's stories. Not necessarily a long, but it has to be short
Right.
because we try to keep an hour. But if you get me on, I always seem to go longer, and that's because the hours that I could talk about this, working on this every day for 32 years. Yeah, that's amazing. Um, it's hard to believe that time has
So
passed.
that being said, we have some prizes to give out. Some things.
Yeah. Hmm.
We could either do that now, or we could go right on into talking about dead people. What do you guys want to
I
hear?
think you know what? Why don't we plug the show? Give us a thumbs up if you're having fun. If we're entertaining you, not my
Yeah,
frustration. Yeah, give a thumbs up, and if you're not a subscriber, please do so.
yeah, or a happy
And
face, or whatever, a like, or whatever. Just like. Yeah, like us.
well, it gets her to be able to branch out
Yeah.
and to different streams. So I'm not sure how it works. I think it's 7 o'clock. Why don't you promote a book, and then
Okay.
a 15 minutes pro book, another 15 minutes. I have three, and
Okay.
it's kind of fun to give them out. And I'm not positive how you're going to get an address. Now, if it's someone you can drive it
We'll
to
work on
them,
this. We'll work
or
on
they
this.
can, because she has three books and I have more.
So here we go. Nancy's always got her books. I'm not saying it's bad, but Nancy's books are excellent. I've read them all. So we're going to give away the first one, and what I want you guys to do, what we'll do is I've been thinking about this and how to get your addresses. You guys can either PM me on Facebook, or if you PM me, even if I don't know you, I'll find you in the stuff that shows my non-friends on there anyway. Okay. You can either PM me on Facebook, or better yet, go to CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com and shoot
Oh,
me an
that's
email.
better.
Okay, so shoot an email from CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com if you win. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you the book. Here we go. Da-da-da.
Oh,
Two
my
rules
first one.
developing your psychic skills up for grabs today. And what I want you to do is back to the chat room. How many people we got in the chat room? We got 1, 2, 3. Okay, I see Athena. And if you guys that are listening in want to get in on this, get in the chat room. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm thinking of a number. All right, here we go. Okay, let me get back. Okay, there we go. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 30.
Wow.
Whoever's closest to that number is going to win. Go for it.
So how do Facebook people watching? How do they? We don't know
You
how
have to
many.
be in the chat room.
Oh, so how do they get to the chat room?
Just click on the link on Facebook for StreamYard, for the show itself. It'll take them to
Okay,
the chat room.
so everybody hear that? I wouldn't know how to do it
Okay.
because I'm always at this end.
I sound like the devil from that AOL game. Okay. Let's see. And we have a winner! Winner, winner, winner! Did everybody get to choose? Athena? Okay. Jerry Baser.
Is this someone in your neighborhood?
Jerry's the winner. Yeah, Jerry's the winner. 25. Okay, so Jerry won the first book, Two Worlds book. Okay, cool. We're gonna do another. We're gonna do some more, guys. Don't get discouraged. And that was this one. Yeah, Two Worlds. Developing your psychic skills. I'm writing this down. Okay, let me make a little break mark here so I know which is which. I'm going to put break in here so I know where the new numbers start. But that entails typing. Hang on. So yeah, put a T in there. Okay. Okay. So, what do you think, Nancy? Should we do another copy of that? I lost her. This is my fault. Hang on. I'm having issues. Okay. There you are.
Well, I think we ought to do the 3 that we agreed on.
Okay.
And then we'll do another one in 10 shows or something.
Okay, let's do that. Okay. So, here we go. Next. Help! Get me out of this funk! Oh, sorry.
Does the picture look familiar? Was that me?
That's me and you on any given day.
Yeah. Well, my nose and long hair. Yes. I drew that of me that day. The publishers, whoever I was, were you need a photograph, and I just sat and drew that out. I went, that is me. Get me out of this funk. Actually, it was on a client. The whole book is about this woman called me, and she was in the funk, and I went, oh, good book.
Alrighty. So I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 50 this time. Have at it, guys. One and 50. Okay. Just 2? That's it? Oh, there we go. Pamela Schmidt. Congrats, Pamela. My number was 38. Congrats, Pamela. Let me go back on the main screen here. Okay, get this off. Pamela Schmidt. Woohoo!
Did that person join the chat room? Is that it? She went.
Yeah.
She was on Facebook or something.
She
Good.
did, yeah, she popped in. All right, so we got Jerry's a winner. Pamela's a winner. Now we got the other book, which I read, which was really cool, which is The Unwilling Sacrifice. Give them a synopsis, Nancy.
Woo-hoo-hoo. It was at the time of Jocelyn, the hurricane that hit Jocelyn, and my book starts with her inside the building. Jocelyn, oh my gosh, I forgot what state that's in. The hurricane, it was at least 2003 or 4, and it went through the town and killed a lot of people. And I had a client there or some kind of connection. And because of this tornado, sorry, everybody. The tornado went through town and killed all the people on the main street. And there was hundreds of people who died. And so her house was crushing her. In her house, she was being crushed at the bottom. And they rescued just in time for her. Then she found out her young husband had also been killed. And so she moves back to Washington, Tacoma, Washington, to be with grandma. And she meets up with an old friend, a blue-eyed blonde lady who seems to have more of a tan than normal. And over time, her friend becomes not estranged from her, but a personality change overcomes her. And she thinks to herself, I wonder what's going on with her. So she starts trailing her around. And to come find out that there was a secret organization, a cult in town that is attuned to the Indian legends of Washington. And I picked Washington. I had family members living there. And because I'm American Indian myself, I was very attuned to that. And I did some research, and the combination of the secret Indian societies worshiping Mother Earth. And I can't tell you more, but she gets caught up after her friend disappears in finding this group of people, and then she disappears. And the last page, when you go read it all, then the last page, grandma and her friend are talking. And it's kind of a shock. I dreamt this book. And sometimes you wonder, is there truth to it?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to read it to find out what's really happened, and involve the Indians. And can't you tell I'm a little Indian? And a lot of my Indians are Ohio, come from the Cherokee, going across the nation, and end up in Washington. So very exciting to have that done. There's two follow-ups, and life got in the way. But I have 8 books, including those 2. And then I have the Ghostly Wife.
Oh, that's
And then,
a good one, too.
yeah, I'm going to be writing that up really soon here. I have several that have been
There's the other one, too, about the gal that leaves her husband. That was a good one, too.
That's a ghost. No, wait a minute. Which one was that? That's probably a true story. So I have some fiction ones, but the Ghostly Wife is possession. So that would be a very interesting one for me to write. I can't wait to write that.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah,
Absolutely.
possession. Everybody, what do you do with your wife? Right?
Right.
And another one is also African origins. And I'm talking about the African ceremonial music, and how a young child of the group meets a missionary,
Mm-hmm.
and they move to the United States, and the missionary meets the tribal chief's daughter, and they move back to the United States, and they have a child. And this child is being taught music, and with time, most precision ear, she's able to create music that most people can't hear, but she
Mm-hmm.
can, and the repercussions of that. So that's really right now. I don't have a billboard on it, but anyway, there's a lot going on, and so with that, I have 15 years of MP3s that I'm going to start posting online
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I want to do both of them at once before the years run out. Because if you add up the 24 years with the telephone company and the 32 doing this, I've been working a long time. And I didn't start at 10.
And my big announcement is I was looking at the book I've been writing for the last 15 years. Again, life gets in the
Good.
way. And I'm halfway through writing it. So that should be coming out at some point, maybe
Yep.
this year, finally.
With experience comes the knowledge that needs to be shared.
Yeah, I think I'm better writing it now than I was.
Uh-huh.
Because I was still like a wide-eyed, figuring it all out journalist.
That's a
Even though,
punk.
even
Just a
though my yeah, even though my topic is from non-believer to believer, it's just now there's more under my belt. Well, there's a lot more under my belt, but
I'll never
but
forget when I met her at the end of the 90s. I think it was 96 or 97. I did 6 years of cemetery tours with John Betancourt. And it was necessary because they had vandalism, and they needed the income to replace all of it. And I don't know if it was the first year or the second year. I think it was 5. Years pass and you forget. Only stop. I think it was 2001 with his death, unfortunately. Um, and she shows up, little punk. Like, this is not real. This is not real.
that's right. So I was.
I
Yeah,
I got her attention. Guess what?
and
She
then I
jumped right in
came
here.
and then I came back 2 or 3 years later with the newspaper, with the regular newspaper.
I thought it was with newspaper right
That
off.
was a
It was
college newspaper because I was
okay.
editor at the time. And
Okay.
then I turned around when I was with the Woodland paper and I proposed a Halloween
Oh,
thing for the
yeah.
paper, and I had done the Woodland Opera House with my good friend Jason Lindo. That's where I met him. That was through Sacramento Paranormal, and
Uh,
I had done the Woodland Opera House, and then I did one on my own, and then I said, well, you know what? I wonder if that gal,
that strange
it's
woman.
a strange woman out there that talks to dead people and goes, you know, and if she's still out there at the cemetery, and she was, and so we went out there. That's when I went out with my mom. My mom came along that trip. I remember meeting you, and I remember standing out there, sarcastic as I was the first time,
Oh,
and you're talking to me, and Nancy's hands are always in motion.
I'm sorry. I'm doing it. And I'm not Italian. I'm Cowboys
You
and
know,
Indians and
you
English.
make a good karate person. And so she's talking to me. She goes, my question was, well, how do you know what happens to people? Where are they? And she goes, well, they could be around you. They're all over by us. And she goes, whoop! And then, wait a minute, I can't do this because there we go. I'll have to do it with this one. So I have to knock my
His
mic
ears go,
over, right? Boom! The mic goes flying. And and she's talking to me and just chattered away like she does. And all of a sudden she goes, whoop! There's one right there. And I just went, okay. No reaction. I looked over at my photographer and went, wow.
oh,
And then the other thing, the guest list. That's what got me too, because I had interviewed Dennis Hawk. You remember Dennis Hawk?
I can't
He
remember.
was, he
I
was
know
like
my
the king.
mind.
He was like the king of the paranormal in Sacramento. He was on all the TV shows,
Okay.
everything. He's the one that came up with that haunted. There's actually a encyclopedia of haunted locations, and he wrote it.
I think I know that one.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
But he was the lead UFO investigator in Sacramento, and I remember going to his house and I'm talking to him, and there were like I forget the kind. There's something around 102 people had been abducted by aliens in Sacramento,
Wow.
and then
Wow.
I go to your cemetery tour and I'm signing up with my photographer, and 101 people had signed before I got in, and I looked at my photographer and went, "Remember the people that were abducted by aliens?" She said, "I said they're all here."
Woo woo.
Even though I had grown up and seeing things in my house, I was still like totally like about it.
Yeah,
But
it's hard to believe that there's people like me that actually see them. And
yeah,
that's when I get surprised because they're not hovering around us to
yeah,
be seen always.
yeah,
But if they try, they can suck up the energy from people around us. And sometimes I'll talk to somebody, people go right through. I go, wait a minute, that was rude. And like the group I talked to today, the one guy said at the end, he says, "Oh, you're very confident." And I thought to myself, I think that's a compliment. But if they're standing there, all I'm doing is describe them. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like I'm, I just see what I see, so
I
it's
was
quite
talking
fun.
to my friend Carrie last weekend,
Carrie?
and about being an influencer,
Oh, are you
because
an
I had
influencer?
a friend of mine. I had a friend of mine contact me that I knew at the Woodland paper,
Okay.
and he said, "Oh yeah, I watch your shows all the time." He says, "You're a great influencer. Keep up the content." And I thought, I'm influencing people.
Ooh, ooh.
Yikes, you know.
To do
And
what?
I ghosty. It's like, I guess I have to behave myself. But if anybody had told me that I would end up an influencer in my later life, my
You're
later
so
years,
young.
I would have been like, you're crazy. But when I was talking to Carrie on Saturday or Sunday, she says, you know what? It goes with what you are. You're a journalist, so it goes with that. And so it's been for us old folks doing this stuff, the Gen X people doing this. I mean, we grew up when the internet was like just starting and all this, so we kind of got an edge on people because we were able to adapt to it. We were young enough to adapt to it. But now it's like it's all coming rapid fire. So now I'm running around like you hear me talk about TikTok. That's because my whole life now, besides this, this is how my life has changed. I used to get done with this show at 7:30. I was out of here by 7:15. I'm sorry, I was out of here by 8 o'clock, because all I had to do was take the audio, download it to take the top end off the audio, download it to the main feed to Apple Music and all those other places, and I was to have dinner. Now it's get done with this show, download download the audio, get that done, download the actual video, go in and chop that up, get that over to TikTok, and then get it to Instagram.
And then up to RSS feed.
And then everything, in the middle, with RSS and all this. So now instead of getting out of here like 8:15, it's like 10 o'clock,
Right.
because I'm doing all this. And then
And then she calls me at 10:30,
and
10:15.
then I call her too, because then I'm having dinner. I'm having dinner till like 10:30, and then after that, if I need guests for the show, it's back in here around 11 or 12 to start finding guests for the show. So I mean, that's how much it has changed. It added like 2.5, 3 hours to my
Now be
night.
careful, Char. Don't scare people from doing their own
No, I'm not
shows.
trying to scare you guys. I'm just saying that's what it is, but it's fun.
I
When
really
you see
enjoy
the
it.
results, like you guys have been coming all this time to watch the show, I call you guys the diehards, the diehards that have been coming to watch the show, and I'm watching my numbers go up. I mean, I'm going to probably hit on RSS this month 1,100 downloads,
It's fun.
which is up from like 748 from where we were like 3 or 4 months ago. If I can go, and my goal is that if I can hit even 20 over where we were last month, we're doing good.
Hmm. It's
You
it's
know,
kind of it is fun,
yeah,
and I think to myself, I'm on the air, and it takes time to put my face on it. Women are vain and everything, and you kind of wonder why are you doing this? And
yeah,
I have,
yeah,
an interest. I do this for a living. I'm advertise myself. At this time, of course, I need more. Would like more clients, but you don't want to lose the information. You want to make
right,
sure it's out there. You
right,
want to enlighten and awaken
right.
people. It's like at this place in my life, there's got to be more people wanting to do this, and I hope
Yes,
to fire them up. And this
yes,
is real. I
yeah.
don't make things up.
And it's not a quick process. It's not you're not going to monetize the first week you're on, like you see all these YouTube videos, yeah,
Yeah.
do it my way, do it this technique, and you're going to monetize. It's taken me 2 years to get to the point where I can monetize on Facebook, where I have enough followers. We're getting there on YouTube, but we're still inching our way up. Just like now, I've got I got 123 followers on TikTok. I need 1,000 to go live. So it's a process, but at least I'm able to monetize now on Facebook. And you guys are going to see. In fact, Nancy and I are going to be doing another event coming up here. I don't know when. I'm just figuring it out because the other one went so well, and the people that went were probably going, "Oh no, it didn't." But you know what, Susan and everybody, I figured out what was going on with the cameras and stuff. So that's
Yeah,
all done now.
I'm still learning
I'm still
how to
learning.
do this.
I'm still
Yeah.
learning this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And part of the
So
fun is creating an idea. So if
yes.
you are sitting out there thinking you should do something, what is your passion?
Yeah. Yeah.
what burns you at
Yeah.
times?
To get
And I
out there
could
and
have
do
stayed
it.
with the telephone company, retired. I was
Yeah.
making as much money as a supervisor as
Yeah.
anybody could. And this was a burning, how can I help somebody survive their life? And we all have hard lives, but I can do this. And it came one day when I was working as many hours as 50 hours a week as supervisor, but I was making 40, 50 hours doing this, and I had to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
So at the
Yeah.
coaching, and that little friend of mine, she said, "How dare you when you could be helping people?" And then she added, "And what if you have cancer and you die? Want to die?" She implied you want to be with the telephone company because no one knows when the cancer will be back. And
Hmm.
I went, "Oh, I made my decision. No problem."
Yeah. Well, with
And
this, it's like I said, it's a slow process. You're not gonna get monetized overnight, and I know that. But with everything I've ever done in my life, if I get into a hobby, I throw myself full into it, and that's what I'm doing. If I'm staying focused on this because I'm seeing those numbers go up. Like I said, even if they go up by 20 or 25 a month for those feed downloads, we're doing something right.
hmm hmm
You know,
Yeah,
so that's the whole key, and that's what makes me. It gives me the incentive to continue. Um, RSS, they have a monetizing program, and we had a couple good months a couple months ago, and I was waiting to see if it was a fluke. And the one month we hit really high, it was a fluke. It wasn't a fluke, but it was because of one guest that we had. But I thought it was going to bottom out, but then we hit 926 last month, which wasn't too bad because it was above the 700 we had before. And this month it looks like I said, it looks like we're going to hit 1100. So we're doing good. We're doing really, really good. So hopefully this trend continues. You guys keep spreading the word about the show, and like I said, give me ideas of what you guys want to hear because generally what you guys want
please.
to hear is what the majority wants to hear. So that's
Right.
what we want to do
So
is
those of you who
get those
are,
kind of things.
you know, CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com, email her if there's a topic that you are really into
Yes,
right now.
yes.
And
And
and and yeah,
here's a
and
plus:
here's a
if I
plus.
use your topic and I book it and book the guest for it, I'll send you a California Haunts Radio T-shirt.
Wow. That's a deal.
There's a bunch of people going, "Oh God." But yeah, I'll send you a T-shirt as a thank you for getting
Wow.
that guest on.
Can I send you an idea?
Nancy wants a T-shirt,
I have some of yours already from for years and years back.
and if you're
Uh,
wondering what they look like, there's my backdrop. When I go full, it's the
oh yeah.
backdrop. Okay, so yeah, and if you want one before that, they're for sale over there on the website, on the radio website.
Which
But
one?
yes,
Which website?
the CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com. They're on
Repeat,
there.
repeat, repeat.
Yes, I have a store over there. And okay, let's get that book done. Let's see who wants that. Who wants to win that book? And then we're going to talk about the dead people around you. And I got to make a real sad announcement, and I haven't done it yet. But something really cool kind of happened, and I hope Marisa doesn't mind me saying anything. Marisa's brother passed away this week, and suddenly didn't expect it. She's my producer. She puts up with my stuff when I make the phone calls at 2, 3 in the morning, and so I've been helping her a little bit with that, and I feel really bad for her, but something interesting kind of happened, and maybe that can lead into what we're going to talk about today too. Is that last night? Was it last night, Marisa? Is it okay if I tell people? Tell me it's okay or not. I don't want to get my butt kicked.
She's typing. She's typing.
No answer. Anyway, let's lead into this anyway. I'm not going to say what happened. If you guys can just get the drift of what happened.
Oh, you can't lead on without saying something.
I don't want her to get mad at me. See if she's on her phone. Hang on. I don't want to get. I don't want to get in trouble. Thanks, Jerry. Got Jerry's address. Hang on. Let's see. Anyway, it's been a tough week for me, and here we go. Marcy, can I tell them about your thing that happened last night?
Was it only last night that something happened?
Yeah, it was only last night that something
Wow.
happened.
Fresh.
People will like it. It gives them hope. Okay, thank you. I got a yes. So I get a text early. Marisa likes to get up early. I don't. So I get a text early this morning, and I don't. The truth of the matter is, we don't know how long her brother passed away last week sometime. We're just going to say that. And last night, Marisa had a vision of her brother. And he looked really, really healthy. He was in his weight room, like he just worked out. So that's cool. She got an after-death visitation last night. You know, that tells you. I got it was a couple weeks before I got one from my mom, but yeah, awesome. So it's wonderful. It makes you feel better when you see them. Anyway, let's get this book out of the way. And I don't mean it that way, but you know what I mean. This giveaway out of the way.
Wrong.
I know. Don't take it wrong. And then we'll start talking about what we always talk about: the dead.
Dead people. And there's so many variations of dead people.
Yes. There's the book, The Unwilling Sacrifice. And I'm back in the chat room. Okay, I am thinking of a number. We're going to make it a little easier this time. Between 1 and 35. Have at it. Why you guys type fast? Okay, I think are you guys done? Okay, there we go. Athena. Athena's our winner. So that one was Athena. So Athena, shoot me an email at CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com. And everybody, don't take it to heart. We're going to do this again sometime. Don't worry about it. Let me get the chat room. Let me get it back up so I can remove Nancy's book from my thing. There we go. Okay. So, yeah. Don't take it to heart, guys. We're going to do this again sometime, too. But this is part of your 200th, and all that good stuff. So, now we can shift gears. It's only been over an hour, but we're good. It's only been an hour, but that's us. I always leave a 2-hour block open for this one.
Well, you got to realize this is a fun show because it is a celebration, and maybe people want to know where you started, how you started, and our connection.
And
all the,
how much
there's more to us than just.
I appreciate each and every one of you, my sister especially, for spreading the word to her friends and my cousins and everything else. Because she's been a great help with putting this stuff together too. So everybody's helped out in their way, and if you can keep spreading the word, that's great. I mean, like right now, I see 11 of you live. There's probably more, but from wherever you're watching from, if you could hit the like button, like Nancy says, if you could follow, if you're on Facebook, or follow when you're on Twitch, or subscribe on YouTube, that would be great, because we're going to have, like Nancy says, hopefully 200 more shows. Where we go, In fact, July is starting to book up, so we got some great people coming in July. You guys are gonna like. So anyway, let's talk about dead. Let's talk about the dead, shall we?
How and what way? Give me a key word or a thought. I don't know where to start talking.
I
as
think
everybody
you had a good segue with the people in the bathroom.
Do people watch us take a shower? That is a real book.
Around us, yeah. because I know for a fact, I've been in like bathrooms in historical buildings doing investigations where they're there. I've been tapped on the shoulder. I felt,
Oh,
in fact,
yeah.
one guy even ran his hand. Oh, his hand. I'm not gonna say hand. I was in Placerville at the Sequoia, and we were doing a prelim,
Mhm.
and the lights were just blinking all over the place. And I looked at the psychic, and I went, "What the hell is going on?" This is when I was still like, a novice at the whole thing. And she says, "Well, they're here, and they're really excited." I go home, turn my TV off that night, and I hear a man's voice talking to another man's voice in my house. And I thought, okay, I know who one of them is, but the other one I don't recognize. I go to the bathroom, and I felt this finger go down my spine
Ah,
while I'm sitting on
please.
while I'm on the throne. Okay. Next day, I get in
You're
my
sitting
car.
down in that room. That's
Yeah, I'm sitting down doing my thing, reading my Reader's Digest, and there goes this finger, and I'm like, whoa! So I get in the
I
car the next morning. I knew I couldn't do anything about it. Well, later on, my poor neighbors. But I get in the car because I had to go to work the next day. So I get in the car and I'm like, well, come on, get him in the car. Drive. I drive up there. I roll the windows down in the car. Get the hell out of my car. So I kicked
oh,
him back out.
I remember you talking to me about this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And my neighbors, I'll tell you, well, the new neighbors don't know so much. But my old neighbors used to think it was hilarious because stuff would come home and I would open all the windows and doors and yell and kick stuff out of my house at night. And the
That's
neighbors would go, ah, brought one home, huh? Yeah, I brought one home. You know,
and that's how you do it, everybody. You take charge.
you take charge.
Don't be a
Boot,
victim of them. I
boot them
told you,
out of the bloody house.
yeah. Or you let them just live in their time frame in your house and leave. But they do have a choice. I feel like the couple that lived here, this place at 35 years old,
Yeah.
and they were the first owners. And I, Larry was my husband telling me, and I can't remember if it was one of us or the other said, "Wonder why they're still here. I mean, isn't there a better place to live rather than a senior park? I mean, really?" But this is a really nice little neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
I was surprised to find it.
So
But
how often? That's my question to you is how often? I mean, how do like you told me after my uncle died
okay,
that he was one that would cross over and come back. That they have the ability to be able to cross over and come back to visit. I mean, for family, for everybody that's in the chat room now who have lost family members, is that what goes on? Is the family members are able to come back and observe and visit from time to time?
so we need to explain passing over because I've
Okay.
seen so many. Excuse me, passing overs. It's
Yes.
greeted by people that they accept, and it's
Okay.
not always mother, father. Could be a hunting, but I did a lady husband passed away, and she says, "Who greeted them?" And I have this ability to describe who people are greeted by, which is kind of a strange thing to be able to do. And I saw a couple men, but around them, and they were holding these funny looking sticks, and they're behind next to them were all these large animals. And she went, "Oh my gosh, I know exactly who." He had two hunting buddies that just recently passed away. In time, people pass away, and all that you see those animals are deer. So it's that one thing that gets you motivated to leave your body. Like, oh my gosh, I want to go where those people are. And if you remember the movie Ghost, where he kisses her for, what a movie. When he kisses his wife, his lady friend, they were not married. For the last time, he turns around and you see all the shadows of all the people he would be greeting him. And there could be crowds of people, or it's usually just one or two. A lot of times it's husband, father, wife, I mean, mother, father, wife, or best friends. I've had best friends greet people. I've had sisters greet somebody. And she pulled, I got too many stories to start that. If they don't want to acknowledge that person, they'll turn their back and say, "I'm not ready to go." They're not ready to have that afterlife experience. And a lot of times those are people who prefer to be stuck or afraid to go on, like, "Oh my gosh, where am I going, up or down, or left or right or whatever." And so those spirits can go insane, become the ghosts and the demons that we know about. Now, if they pass over and they go, "I love this environment that everybody's taken me to, family reunions, I've gone, blah, 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 but I would like to go back and do the traveling I never got to do."
Hmm.
and we can come back to this earth plane with all the living beings and catch people in the bathroom. But that doesn't mean they're ghosties. They're just spirits who prefer this life. What is really curious, and this has happened a couple of times, there's a lady I talk to frequent, and when her brother passed away, unbeknownst to me and to her, of course I don't know, he said to me, I'm in the Mediterranean, Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean. And she goes, what are you talking about? Ah, well, her brother passed away, Kentucky or Tennessee direction. And she's in Sacramento. And she didn't know. So she calls the son up, the brother's son. And he said, Auntie, don't you know? He has all those movies and all the posters, and the basement's just covered with Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean. So the next month when we talked, the brother was still there. And he says, I'm I'm on a ship. Look at me. Look at me. And of course he's addressing her sister, but I'm watching. And I described a ship that looked like the Nina, the Pina, the Santa Maria. And I got all these details. And his comment to me was, I don't like this life in the Mediterranean. Oh, head turn time. He was living a life then. So it looks like between this life and spirit land, they pass on, they come back, but they can also be reborn in an era of their choice.
Cool.
And what confirmed it for her was that I don't know anything. The last thing I think of Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean, but he had his whole basement covered with them. What got my attention is he chose to live a life there. You can visit the past, you can take trips, you can go to the future, you can see a future life that you want. He chose to live a life, be born and die before he's even born in this life. But he did this life, got introduced to Johnny Depp and says, I want to go back. And his comment to me was, it's not very fun. I don't like this. I went, so there's some details about the ship that when I told my husband, he's a connoisseur of men movies and he likes man stuff. And I said, the ship was black. Was it the water? I mean, it was a very unattractive black,
Mhm.
short. And he says, oh my gosh. He says, in those years, whether they were pirate ships or not, they often tar the outside of the ship
That's right.
to move faster in the water. I didn't know that. I don't watch those kind of movies, nor is it be interesting to read that. So it gave me confirmation that you are of this time frame. If the family member disappears for a while, they may be having a life sometime in the past and come back. One young man, uh, the son of Sue, she's a book, and the son was killed by a drunk driver in front of her. And she would come and visit me or call me up. What's he doing now? How come I'm not here? She came over. She was, I can't get hold of him. He's only 17. He should be responsible and get hold of his mother as often as she wants. And I said, Jason, where are you, honey? And he showed me the Superman pose. You know how you put your da 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 da. And he says, would you tell my mother to leave me alone? And I went, no. He says, I'm across the universe. I want to explore. And he was showing me the beautiful pictures that NASA takes out, the cloud formations that are the they said the birth pains of new planets and nebulas or whatever they're called. And I turned to his mother. I says, he's exploring the universe. And his comment was, he said to me, I wonder who else is out here. Well, that was interesting. If you're a spirit,
Mhm.
wouldn't you know that? But maybe we cluster around our own universe, cosmo part of the, but he was so far out there. And he's just yelling at me, tell my mom to leave me alone. She didn't call me for a while. And she finally did. She said he showed back up. But that's on our time. What does spirit have? If they can. So this is how I rationalize this. When I talk to other country phone, and I have clients I talk quite often from Italy and England. So the Italian people have 3 children that live in the United States. So if I put my mind to them, and they ask about each child, then different California, Texas, and oops, forgot what the 3 different states. And then I put my mind to the daughter they want to talk about. I get the information, go back to them. To me, it takes 2 seconds. Hmm. So if I can move that fast, and some mentioned that coincides with this, what can spirit people do when they're part of that
Hmm.
already?
Hmm.
Very, very exciting.
I
So the
remember when my dad died,
okay.
and you telling me my mother and I had stayed around the hospital for a while, then we went to McDonald's to get some food, and I was in the car, and that's when I called you and said he passed away. The first thing you said, well, he's in China on the Great Wall. And I said, what? You said, yeah. And it made sense because his dream for a trip was to go see the Yangtze Kiang River in China. So
Wow.
when he realized he was free of his body, that's where he went.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if it was this morning or because I had 2 long sessions today, but,
Hmm.
I think it was this morning. I had 15 people in a group, and the daughter didn't show up, and I went, "Uh-oh, I can't make anybody show up. Who am I? I'm just a flesh person." And then put my mind to her, and she was really far away, and relative to us talking,
Hmm.
we're in the same state. And I said to the mom, "When I pass away, I feel like I had a life in Japan. I'm very pulled to it. Not so much the visit in this time frame, but there's something connection." And I
Hmm.
said to her, "I think I had a past life in Japan. And if when I pass, it will be a place I want to visit. What part of Japan? I have to figure that out."
Hmm.
And then she paused, she leaned back, she said, "Oh, that's very interesting. She was born in Japan. And did you mention Japan?" I said, "Just popped in my head. Maybe she made me say it to let you know that's where she is at." So I can feel that. And sometimes you go, "Nancy, are you channeling?" I go, "Not that I'm aware of, but I
Hmm.
am getting messages from spirit people." And so she might have made me think about my own desire. There's other countries I affiliate with. Absolutely. Ireland is one of them, or Scotland. The cliffs of Dover. I see myself as a young girl waiting for daddy to come home. Why that flash? I don't know. I could have said that, but I chose Japan. And that just coincides with where her daughter was born. I said, so maybe she's visiting where she was born and the community you were part of. I didn't ask her how long she was there, but how fun is that? You get to go back. And I told her, I said, my father was killed when I was 6. Maybe when I pass, I'll go back to, we lived in a couple of locations. He actually passed away. Where were we at the time? San Diego. And maybe I'll go back to the beach where we lived in the duplex just so I could see him. Because at my age, it's unfortunate, but we forget what people look like. I can feel his hug
Hmm.
because I was only 6, but I'm forgetting what he looked like. Wouldn't it nice to go back and see it in real time? And that a lot of people do that. Hmm.
There's a question in the chat room from Athena. How does Nancy explain shadow people and because they don't feel friendly?
The that's a interesting. I feel like we're multi dimensions and parallel universes. Yes, I do believe in that. There's a couple things that kind of strike me strange. Do we remember or have the fear of a year that we could die? When I was growing up, I used to remember thinking I'm not going to live past 52. Well, I've surpassed that 20 years plus. So I wondered if I had passed away in a past life, or I was worried because in this life, in a parallel universe where I coexist with myself, that person dies. Because I had cancer and caught it just in time. Maybe in that life I didn't. I battled it for 20 years, 15 years. So that is very curious. The one thing is coast to coast and some of these other paranormal shows, people call in and say, there's a shadow person with a top hat.
Hmm.
That I can't hardly, I'm not sure. But I have seen the shadows of spirit peoples. Like they try to firm up and show you what they look like, and they're not quite pulling it off. Because if I said, no one, just don't do this, just kind of remember. In the wintertime, it's easier because I say, if you're wearing socks, what color did you put on this morning? And I get these people, up. I have to look sometime. Summertime, I'm not going to have socks on. But what if you couldn't look at your feet for a year? would it be hard to recreate your feet? So I think people forget what they look like. And people who have died of disease or deformity or an accident, they're trying to remember before that accident, because if you are in a disabled position or situation and you die after a long condition, sometimes we forget what we look like before it started. And a lot of times those people show up as a shadow. Then when I see them, they're kind of wavery. I have to say, well, show me something. And then all of a sudden I'll see a mouth. They'll look in a mirror, remember looking in a mirror. And that happened today. I saw the figure and his wife, and I told the color they had on. And that woman was doing DNA, and it happened to be on her screen. And she says, oh, chick put it with the phone. She says, is this the people you saw? I went, yeah, but the two people behind, there's all kinds of people here. She says, I'm doing DNA, and all these people you're seeing are probably the people I just researched. And they all showed up because she was saying their name out loud. And they went, oh, wait a minute, we're being recognized. And we want to look like it on the screen. So I was seeing what I was seeing, and she was confirming it for what was on the. How exciting is that? Is there no more truth? I'm not that clever to make up what I tell one person, I can't tell somebody else because it
Could
doesn't
it,
match.
well, could it be something like this too? That, like in that movie with Robin Williams, "What Dreams May Come," when
Oh
he
yeah.
meets up with his daughter, and it doesn't, and it's Cuba Gooding Jr.
One of them was a shadow. Which one was it? Was the sun? He showed up flittering here and there until he firmed up what he wanted to look like.
Right.
Um,
Well, what I'm thinking is um that maybe when you do cross over to the other side, like
mhm.
in that movie, it says you can look like anything you want. So
um,
maybe as you're doing that, and maybe the more time you spend away, you forget what you look like to your family here on Earth. And maybe that, or to people here on Earth, maybe that's what it is.
I like that idea, and I'm not over there to say
Right, right,
absolutely.
right.
But they seem to wanna look like they did in hopes that someone would recognize them and
Hmm.
bring back a memory of them. So rarely do they try to look different. I
Hmm.
had 2 this is, of course, always true stories, like, I can't make this up. One of my friends, uh, Donna, she has spina bifida, and so she told me she should have been 5'10", but she was only 4'3",
Right.
and she died, unfortunately, and she was really young, 51 years old. And I was doing a session. I was in Fair Oaks. I was doing flipping before it was popular. So I had a little house I was flipping on Old Auburn Boulevard and Fair Oaks Boulevard, and these people were going to show up. And she showed up in front of me on a stool, and she had long arms but really short legs, and she was standing school on the stool, and she was trying to make herself taller versus standing on the ground. She says, "Look, I'm standing. I can use my legs, but fuck, I'm still only 4'3".
Wow.
Because she was born that way. That's
Right.
how she wanted to humor me and saying, yes, she's healthy, she can move, but she still only has those legs. Just
Rosita says she's seen them as paper cutouts. I've seen them three dimensionally.
what are you talking about? What was that again?
Shadow
Paper.
people.
There
I've
is
seen them as
actually
I've seen them as three dimensional.
um, there's a on YouTube they have a section called movies, and there is actually a shadow people movie, and it's not the same, but it's close, and it was really scary because it implied they're dangerous. People ask me, "Well, have you ever been bothered by a ghost?" No, and they say, "Well, why not?" I've been tricked and played with, but I've never been scared. Annoyed, yes, and I think that's my faith. I don't fear it. I
Hmm.
mean, you guys don't know me, but I don't get afraid. Or I have a tremendous amount of faith. And it's not necessarily just in the divine, it's the network like a spider web that we're all connected. We choose this life. Whatever journey you're on is because you chose to experience it. I don't like cancer. I've had some
Hmm.
very serious illnesses. You don't know that. And it's like, oh, fudge, right? But to be able to do this or to have this life experience, that came along with this body. So, whatever they're in spirit, if anything, they're maybe a little jealous. They may be antagonistic because they're mad that you're here and they're not. And I've talked to bazillion people. Well, you want to get rid of them? Just invite them. Get an attitude. You aren't going to be in here. And I have done that for
Hmm.
people. And even on the phone, I can do this sometimes. I blast myself through the house. How dare you? There was a ghost investigation, and I think the Poor Orange Paranormal was doing it, and I was invited. And they were going through a house, and I think the gentleman was Bob that was on the phone between me and the investigative group. And there was like three men, and this is like 2011, right? Long time. And all of a sudden, I felt like I could see a gray thing on this man's chest. And I went, huh. And then Bob was saying to this fella, what's going on? And the man said, geez, I don't feel good. I think I can't breathe very well. And I went, oh, I know what that is, Bob. Let me get rid of it. And I put my life as a hand and I grabbed onto this thing and shoved it right through his body. I went, no. And Bob heard me do that. And he says to this young man, and he had a dark suit shirt on and he was a little taller. He says, well, how are you feeling now? Stands up. He goes, you know what? I feel pretty good now. And he said, what did it feel like? He says, I just felt something go between my chest and through my rib cage and out the other side, just like I said. So you can command and you can manipulate and you can control these people. You get scared of something? Hey, honey, I would go up and say, get out of my space. You do not belong here. Why be afraid? Yeah, people can get hurt, but what prompts them to hurt you? Is it your fear? Is it you inviting them? On some level, are you so afraid that you want something to happen? Why do we watch scary movies? Ask yourself that. And I love scary movies. I don't get that scared. I enjoy because I have a couple of horror movies, books I want to write, right? What how do you do that? I
Well,
hate
along that line of thinking, line of thought, is that with these shadow people, maybe that's what that is and I've always felt was people who forgot what they look like too. And
mhm.
so, but the problem is, we're so ingrained that the color black is something scary
Yeah. And I
that
do
when
see
we
black
see them,
spirits.
yeah, and when you see them, it's scary. It automatically puts that fear in your brain with them. Because the
Yeah.
ones I've seen have, I mean, we were scared of them, of course, but all they've done is observe. They just stand there and stare.
I wonder sometimes when they don't communicate well and they're here like that.
Yeah,
Wonder if what country they're from.
yeah,
Maybe they
that's
don't
true too.
understand us.
Maybe they
I
don't
don't know
understand.
about
Yeah,
that, but maybe they are of the past
yeah,
or maybe their future going back to I mean, how do we know? How many people have dreamt of the past and you weren't in that life, but you had memories?
right.
Maybe your past lives are filtering through and you look like a ghost to them because
Yeah.
how the brain works, and I know they're about ready to discover this. Uh, because I'm older, with the short-term memory sometimes goes and I go, oh my God, my brain is kind of
Hmm.
getting like a raisin, right? And all the things that you remember of your past is actually not stored in the brain, but there's a switch that allows you to access that point in time. Think about that for a moment. So I call it quantum access.
Hmm.
Quantum access. And I really believe that all our memories can be kept at a point of remembrance and we go back. What about past life? Absolutely. Now that I've been doing this so much, I'm seeing a lot of past lives. I'm going, holy totally. Never famous,
Hmm.
just poor sap on the street. You know, I was kidnapped by some people who ran hijinks on oceans. They kidnapped me from my wife and little girl. First time on a ship, we get captured, and the next vision I have, I'm in a cage in a place where they're going to put us to death. They have rows and rows of prison cages, and we all have a couple per cage. And I'm leaving my arms through the bars, and I'm thinking, shoot, I never got back to my family, and it wasn't even my fault. And they put a sword to all of us one at a time. What a what a miserable life that was. What did I get out of that one? It's like so many. It's just so exciting to me that if you could develop this, become interested, get fired up, the fear of death no longer encompasses your brain, your body, your
Hmm.
fears at night. Once you accept that and that we live, then you're allowing your brain to access those points of memory in time that allows you to see more. And others people's time, people get past life regressions from me, and I'm seeing what you're looking at in that past life regression. So I've just did a couple one for Shar. And when we go back, I was seeing what she could because she's not someone who sees pictures. She's an emotional, so I had to go kind of really fast, thinking, okay, so we're in an emotional past life regression, so I have to walk her through it. But I was seeing what she couldn't see, and I saw that she was standing in very brown desert kind of dirt, and she had boots on. And I said, touch the ground, tell me if it's grass or dirt. And she said dirt. So most people wouldn't thought of asking, but that put her to that picture. When you
Mm-hmm.
could feel where you're standing, then you're grounded in that environment, where a seeing person would see it and be grounded. See how that works? So
Mm-hmm.
your brain allows you to go back. You're not necessarily traveling in time as much as you're accessing a point in time that you want to go to. That's how this works.
So, follow up to Azita's question, she sees the shadow people as cutouts. Why would that be? Would that be because it's just the way her mind is seeing them?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm trying to think of some movies. Um, there's such a thing as blocking memories of something that's been hard to accept.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe your brain, when you do see something, and I cannot address the Hat Man because that has come up. I'm not sure it's someone who listened to a show and talked about Hat Man. And so in the privacy of the home, he's seeing a ghost and he's saying, I wonder if it's got a hat on. All of a sudden it does. I can't address that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our brain will not allow us to see what we're afraid of. So the past life regressions I've done, like Shar, she's an emotional, not a visual. Sometimes we don't want to really see. Maybe we're not sure we want to see. And our brain will stop us from seeing something. So it's very common. If someone has a really, I'm trying to think of my own life. I was in a really bad car accident, and I was a driver, and car hit us coming the other way, skid in the rain, hit the medium divider, and flipped in the air and came down on us. And I only remember sections of it. It's like my brain, when he hit the medium divider, blocks me from remembering, because at that moment of block of that hit, when he hit the divider and he started to come over me, I kind of shut that out, because in that moment I was terrified because I knew we were going to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our brain stops us from remembering car accidents, tragedy when it hits so hard. Um, our We control ourselves and our own fears. And I don't know that shoot 'em up movies, blood and guts all the time, hardness to that, to want to accept that as normal. That's my own 2 cents here, everybody. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. Because then we become where that isn't frightful anymore. And I think that's one reason our society's having a lot of gun things going on, because it's become commonplace. What do we do about it? It's none of my business. It's for everybody to decide what they want their children to watch or themselves to govern. But I do feel like there's a correlation. Um, so anyway, that's that. So ask me
Now,
more questions.
another question from Pamela. Do family, here we go, here's where I can't read. To family after we pass over know who we are when they passed many generations before us?
Oh, that's a good question. So we will always remember Hitler. We always. And yet, I have been told that family that's going to greet you is usually just 2 generations. So I want everybody to think their great grandparent. Do you really know them? Will you expect them to be there? Probably not, because you didn't know them that well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a notice that these are people that you remember. And sometimes it's someone that could be I'm hoping my father, I had a sense one day he will show up because I've asked him that.
Mm-hmm.
But I vaguely remember if he showed up in a room, would I even recognize him? He was very, very thin. They're very tall and thin. And it's because he was young, he came out of the war, everybody was thin in those years, right? And so is that someone I would want to see? Maybe my grandmother's, absolutely. Didn't know my grandfather. So it's going to be a recognition, and it's not always a relative. It could be your hunting buddies that preceded you. It could be people on the military ship that went down, you survived, and your buddies did not. So it's going to be someone that triggers that memory. Now, once you pass over, they'll say, oh, would you like to meet all your relatives? We're going to get together. And you take off. And then we call it the reunion. And one day I had a picture of myself talking to a group of people. And it was in a an environment very strange to me because it seemed black and it was dark, oh, but it was dark like sky. And there was a multitude of people around me, and they were clustered talking to each other. So I have two friends that are very intuitive. And the one lady says, I'm with a group of people, but I can't tell where I'm at. And she just quickly, she's very intuitive. She says, oh my God, you're in the afterlife. Oh my gosh. The other person I asked was somebody that I asked because she was also there. If you think about it, it can hurt your brain. She walks up and she says, Nancy, is that you? And when I said that to her, she said, we're in the afterlife, aren't we? And I said, yeah. Implications that she may pass one day before me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to say years, but she's there and I show up and then she greets me. Sometimes our best friends are our best companions. And as I've gotten older, I've realized how important friendship is. So cluster your friends, your family will never disappear, but it's
Mm-hmm.
who we spend time with, like Shar.
Mm-hmm.
Friendship. What is the value of your friends and people who are important to you? Absolutely. Okay.
The other Nancy says, could it be a pet?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just recently had someone, remember, I do this all the time. And a dog will greet that person. And it was a darker dog. And I started talking, saying, oh, it's your grandfather's son, but there's also a big dog. And he knew exactly. I used to be a long distance runner when we lived in Loomis, and we ran Auburn trail, um, bike trail, off road trail, but it was horse trails. It was the Auburn Lake Trails. Auburn Lake Trails. It was from Granite Bay up to Auburn. And I used to run those distances, but I wasn't alone. We had a dog. It was a black lab, and she would see me put those pairs of shoes on and those shorts. We half naked. We had these little tiny shorts and those shoes. Those are running shoes. She would see me with that, and she would take off like a bullet and go get the German Shepherd next door. And then they would catch up with me when I got to the trail, barking and running together like this. They'd cover twice the distance I would. If it was 13 miles, they did 26. I fell in love with that dog because she enjoyed it so much. So someone told me that Bonnie, my dog, not my sister Bonnie, the dog, we would be running. And I really miss that a lot. I, I was going to do my first marathon. On Sundays, I'd run 16 to 20 miles for the fun of it. So I thought one day, well, I'm going to do a marathon that December 6th um, marathon was coming up. And that was December 6th of 87. I was diagnosed with cancer November 18th, and it took it out of me. People say, "Oh, you can do this and that," and I says, "Oh my brain was mushed. You can't. I couldn't. People knows yours died, and that's why I changed everything because I didn't know." And so your animals will greet you if you're thinking, and I do think of that dog, and I suspect if someone were me looking at me saying, "You have a big black dog next to you," and she was 100 pounds, a big lab, and she just fat loved those the bike trails. I call them bike trails, but it was Auburn Lake Trails. So I keep getting it mixed up. So someone could look that up, and it was a lot of fun. I don't even know if those trails are still open. Run a lot of rattlesnakes if you guys go out there. Okay,
Um, with our family members that are gone, I mean, I know I've heard other psychics say, well, it's mainly around the holidays when they're around you, but I mean, aren't they around you? It's their choice if they're going to be around you or not. So
right.
do they come around when it's not the holidays to be with you?
Oh my gosh. So when I was growing up, my mother would shake her fist at me. Don't you do that. The last vision of my father, as I'm jumping in his arms, I tell him, please don't go. We'll never see you again. And she had a fit. All I could see was her fist doing this to me. My father had a gift and it drove her nuts. He was always talking to his dead father, open conversation kind of stuff, like really crazy. And he, so anyway, he did die that weekend. He was killed by a drunk driver from Las Vegas to Hollywood. So it was really terrible loss, terrible loss. Anyway, what was the question?
Well, I mean, you hear about the relatives coming
Oh,
around
so
during the
anyway,
holidays. So are they with you like all
okay.
the off and on all the time?
So before she passed away, before the year before she passed, before the year got ill, I went up to Portland, Oregon with my husband, and we went to visit mom. And she had lined up a group of the people in the complex. It was 7 stories. I don't even know how many people were in the room. A lot. And I said 30 to 50. Seemed 50. And I started talking about what I talk about all the time, just normal stuff to me, right? Describe the relatives there and how I have a feeling that we all survive. I have the knowledge we all survive. So this is the first time she allowed such an open, and she called me up. She says, "They, I'm so popular." She said, "Everybody asked me if I'm your mom. You were so popular." I go, "Mom." So that was '09. That was, I can't remember. So it was, she died in '09, so it must have been '07. I can't remember exactly. So my husband and I, we moved to Tucson and we moved to Sierra Vista. And every once in a while, she'll show up at one of my presentations. And today I did feel her watch the screen of Zoom of these 15 people. She was right here. It's like she watches you succeed. She watches you be happy. And they don't want you to be unhappy because this is important. They don't want you to waste your breath. They want you to live every moment in the thickness of your body. They miss, listen, for me to have to give up my coffee, I'm coming back, honey. I have this one is mocha coffee tonight. I mean, whatever it is you love, not being addicted, I mean, just love. And it's amazing the number of people that say they miss eating. And like French bread comes up a lot. Garlic French bread. Amazing. I don't eat that. One person said where they wanted somebody who was passing over to hurry up. They wanted that person to know someone was waiting on them to pass over. And he was handing her a piece of licorice. I said, I haven't said the word licorice in 10 years. Where did that come from? Can't come from me because I now think of licorice. But it was licorice, her favorite candy, the client said. Right? They want us to be alive and live because we chose to be here. They
Hmm.
want you to enjoy a hug and a kiss, eating out, going to the movies, whatever your fun is, because they miss that. That's why they come back. That's why you always come back. And you have a choice of what kind of life. So I want to recommend a channel. Go to LMN and look under the playlist Ghost in My Child, or type in YouTube child reincarnation stories, anything like that. It's a fascinating study. Dr. Jeffrey Long, amazing, 2,300 or 3,300 cases validated out of 15,000. Dr. Melvin Morris, uh, too many stories, everybody, but he's also one that investigated and wrote Children of the Light, something like that, where all these innocent little children are having these experiences. I was just 7 years old when I was a very sickly child, but my father and his mother, who we lived really close to, were Christian scientists. Christian scientists don't believe in, and she was a minister of the, oh my gosh, I've just forgot what it was, the faith.
Hmm.
I don't know they had so many names. It's kind of progressed to be spiritualism, and I'm a minister of a spiritualist church. But in those years, and so when he was killed and moved up to Northern California, as soon as she could, I had my tonsils out. Got home, and she gave me an aspirin before going to bed, and I almost bled out. And in the middle of the night, I had an experience, and I never bring it up because it's not very interesting. People said they had this glamorous near-death experience, and all I remember is some nice lady in a white gown, a dress, holding my hand, and I don't know where I'm at. It's the middle of the night, right? And we're up high, and she says, "You can't come with me," and I go, "Why? Why can't I come with you?" She was so nice, and she smelled good. I just remember thinking, "Oh, she smells good." Here I'm just, and I tell you, I was a little waif of a thing. I was so thin because my tonsils, like, just, it's amazing. I lived, I lived through it. And she pointed down to a fountain right in front of the house we lived in, and there was two children playing. And she says, "You can't go because you're involved with those children." And I think they were my grandchildren, yet to be born. And she says, "Those you will have those in your life, those two kids." So I think they came really fast as a spirit from kids to show me I had a purpose for being there. So my daughter had two children, and they match those two kids. So with not only our children, but future generations that we need to stay. And that was all of 30 seconds. Next thing I know, my mother's man friend, boyfriend, who she eventually married, I remember being swooshed up like this, and they were running to the car, and he was a 6'4" big guy. And I felt so tiny. I was probably about 35 pounds, but they were rushing me, and I was in the hospital for a while. And I don't remember how long, but I was in there for a while. It seemed like days, but kids, what they know. And so sometimes the message to come back is that it's not your time, but that we have a purpose for choosing the body. And reincarnation is not something I accepted easily. So it was, and once I got into this, and I had so many people talk to me about their children not wanting to call them mom. And Gail and her son is one. She brought him to my house on Black Eagle Drive in Sacramento off of Watt Avenue. And she says, "Meet my son." Okay, great. You're 21 years old. Nice, nice guy. She says he's never called me mom. He's always called me Gail ever since he's like 2 and 3 years old. And that's because he said to me, "Well, my mom's still in heaven with my sister. We got killed in a car, went over the bridge, like in Beetlejuice." But he decided to come back. And he often told his mother how to cook, especially tacos. "My mother makes much better tacos than you," when he was 4 years old. Hello. Hello. And Gail, if you're hearing this, see this, please give me a call. She knows
That
exactly.
wasn't well. That was another question I was thinking. Can they come back? Since obviously you said that they do visit with us. If we're having problems, can they come back and help us with our problems?
Absolutely. All you have to do is ask for help. If it's a father or mother, just ask. And your sincerity is everything. God damn it, come here and help me. Well, they're not going to show up. I want the wisest and the most gracious relative I have to assist me in my problems today. And you wait and see who it is. And if you can smell them, feel them, they'll hug you, then you will know who it is. My mother has a fragrance, and she was a very small person, very thin, 5'2" or 5'3" maybe. But I feel her as though when she showed up in Sierra Vista, she showed up with her very dark, dark black eyes and hair. Um, and I was on stage. She showed right next to me, just in the glory of her youth. It was just fabulous. And so every time she shows up, I feel that youth on her. But human beings, you may not. It's a wonder with my asthma, I love all kinds of smells, from soaps to lotions. But my kids say we have a scent. So as a spirit person, you will still give them that scent, and we can always feel that person, and we know who exactly who it is. I think you told me that about your dad or your mom, somebody.
My mom.
Mom, you can sense that. I think your father had a scent too, because when he showed up the other day, I felt like that. It's hard for me.
Cigars.
Could have been that. It was something. Yeah.
Well, I bathed my mom in a certain soap, a certain
Uh-huh.
fragrance of soap after she passed. And when
And
she does come, that's what I smell.
so she remembered that smell when she passed over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And absolutely they'll help you. Sometimes they get upset that people have told me they're upset because a client has not come, especially in the throes of grieving for them.
hmm
And you can appreciate what dreams may come. Robin Williams goes to his wife when she's sitting in front of his gravestone, and he's a spirit man, and he's grieving that she's grieving. Well, when he touched her, all she felt was his grieving on top of her own. It was overwhelming. Then it occurred to him, he stepped back and he said, "Oh, I'm causing more hurt because the grief is compounded." So if people call me and they go, "I can't feel, I can feel." I says, "Honey, your life force looks like a firecracker. Who could get near you?" So I give them a visual to calm their life force around them, so the spirit person comes close, they can then have a sense of them. Can you imagine screaming and yelling all the time? What spirit person are you going to have a sense of? Can't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that why some people it takes a while before they have a vision of their spirit person? You know, because like in Maurice's case, it came to her in a vision.
Dream.
You know, some people dream or whatever, but for some people it takes longer than others.
I think we're not always aware at the level of grieving that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course, if you can lose a child, a best friend, a parent, you're going to be in the throes of real grieving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do I grieve? I grieve the loss of that person being in my life. I don't grieve that they, yes, I grieve they died, but there's a different level of thought for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I die, I told my kids I want pizza and champagne in a park. Celebrate my life. Celebrate that I was here. When you do that, it puts a different mindset. No, no, don't do it in a chapel or mortuary or any place where there's grieving and heavy and you got to look at the coffin. Ooh, heck no. Cremate me, put me in a jar, leave me at home, put a picture out and say, I had a good life. That's the only way to do it so people can recover from the shock of your death. But you're going to be fine. And they have to be okay with that. That is your time. I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe there's, oh, please don't write me letters. This happened. And I try to tell people because I've been doing this for 32 years, and boy, we do live. So I was involved with Harold's Ice Cream Parlor, and I left 5 minutes before the plane hit. Of course I would, right? And I rushed my sister and my daughter out there, got in the Volkswagen, Futwich Boulevard, headed to the freeway, highway, is it,
160.
let's see,
That's 160.
okay, whatever. So
Yeah.
so Pharaoh's Ice Cream Parlor was here, the ice cream parlor, the clothing store next door. The plane crashes into it, and I was talking on a radio show, and this twin, 22 people were killed, and the twin of one of the girls called me and said, "If you had such a strong impression something was terribly wrong, why didn't you tell everybody?" How would I? My first thought was my husband was in trouble. That's the only thing I could think of. It could have been that that was a message to me. I was pregnant with my son, 3 months pregnant with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like after thinking about it, maybe his spirit has said, get out of here, get out of here. Or because when I got home, my husband was fine. But before we got the freeway, my daughter, no seatbelts in those years, everybody, it was 73, September of October 73. They were, she was jumping up and down in the back seat, looking out the little window. Mommy, mommy, look at the big, 3-year-old describing something. And I couldn't figure out what that was. And we were on the freeway, and they had this big announcement on the radio, terrible crash, Pharaoh's Ice Cream Parlor across from the airport, airplane crashed into it, and I had just been there. The shock of that overwhelmed me. I was grieving. By the time I got home, Larry had heard that and thought I was in the crash. So what I felt probably was the spirit of my son because he
Mm-hmm.
needed to be born.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why other people had to die. I don't have answers for that. Why did my father have to die? He was only 33. Very promising. We were going to move to Florida the next day, April 1st, 1955.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was kind of leading into my next question. I mean, you hear people that die of every age, and I
Yeah.
mean, is there that old, like I talked with Dr. Linda last night, that old adage that there's several ways out for us. Do we take them or not? Is that what the case is? That somebody
Yeah.
just decides I'm done, I'm
There's
just
a,
gonna go.
so one day I was talking to Sue, the one who lost her son,
Mm-hmm.
and Grandpa showed up and he said, we gave him 6 more weeks. He should have died this time. I can't remember the reference point,
Mm-hmm.
but we gave him 6 weeks. So Sue was sitting there real quiet and she goes, oh my God. What happened? She had a house with a basement. Phew, everything went out. She asked me to go in the basement and throw the switch, make sure it was on. When he threw the switch to turn the power back on, he looked down and there had been a water main break. He was standing in two
Whoa.
inches of water. So from that incident to the day he was killed by a drunk driver, he wrote his father a letter because that made him think about what has he not completed. He was only 17. He was an amazing young man. He made it with his father. He wrote a letter to. He did a lot of things that Sue said most 17-year-olds wouldn't even think of doing. And then he was killed. So then she realized there's a window. And what I got from that, there's a window for all of us. And people will say, man, that's crazy. I've had 2 or 3 close calls and all of a sudden they are dead. And you go, whoa, that's kind of like,
Right.
what is that about? And I lined it to, I will leave when I no longer can give my voice out. Because you never know what you're going to tell somebody. It changes their path. And it may be
Right.
somebody who cannot change their path. So when I'm done with the last person I'm supposed to talk to, I either will lose my voice, I'll be forced to retire, or something will happen to me because I'm not supposed to give my breath one more day. And it's
Mm-hmm.
intellectual and emotional influence that we would have on those people that are in our lives. So the date is important. So, curious, my father died at 2 o'clock in the morning, April 1st, 1955. We were going to move to Florida. He and a friend were going to open up in the heart of the hub of Miami an art studio. He was an artist for Universal Studios. And those years they didn't have the camera work we do now. And so he would paint 2 and 3, 4, 5 feet tall of each starlet and movie star. And you can only do so many and you go so many with you go, don't want to do this anymore. But there was a very up and coming community in Florida that he wanted to go to. Yet he got killed. Yet we moved up there to Northern California. So my first husband met me at a dance when I was 15 and he was 16. The one who drove him was old enough to have his driver's license. The one who took me, she had her driver's license. Come to find out, the hospital I was born at was very close, within a few miles from where my husband's sister was born. We were supposed to meet. Moving to Florida wouldn't do it. His father, my first husband's father, is part of this inner circle of Reagan. So eventually he was moved up there to be there where we met.
Mm-hmm.
And we dated all through high school, married 4.5 years after we met.
Mm-hmm.
Now you ask, well, okay. Well, I can't tell you on the air because I'm not going to embarrass my kids. But one of them is in a high profile career. And, I'd have to kill you if I told you. Right? So maybe it's not necessarily me or my children,
Mm-hmm.
but my grandchildren. You know, the story's yet to unfold. I'm not going to take credit. I'm just maneuvered around because we're supposed to. Then you say, well, what about the rest of the family? Both my sisters did not have children, just me. You go, ugh, what can I say? I don't know. Was he sacrificed for me? I don't think so. I think this is all an agreement. I don't like it sometimes when children. I had a friend that had a child, and he was a healthy, big, beautiful young boy, and he died like 2, 3 months old from a virus that she caught and gave to him. Why go through all that and then die? I don't have answers. I'm just a human being that's stuck in this meat jacket. Think of it like that, and a little bit of more humor. You get sick,
Right.
then just go get it fixed, right? More
Well, there's
questions.
stories. I mean, like with Athena's had a lot of near misses. Where she's been involved in stuff. I mean, we saw her history a couple weeks ago. And then
We
there's
talked
people
about
that
it.
yeah, there's people that have near misses. And like I said, I think it's that those doorways that we have the choice. It's
Right.
either going to happen or it's not. Or you might be going to bed one night, go to bed, and not wake up. I mean, it's just you just don't know. It's just
A
how you
ticket
feel
and punched, honey.
at that
Um,
point. Yeah.
so if I hadn't gotten cancer, I would not have gotten to. If I hadn't gotten cancer, I would have stayed in our Catholic marriage.
Hmm.
But he got into police work, and it kind of changed. I'm not gonna. He's alive, and I don't want to say something I shouldn't. But we change.
Hmm.
We changed. And I realized if I was only going to live a few more years, maybe I needed to find me.
Hmm.
So I got out. And then when the doc told me a year and a half later, yeah, you're going to be fine. We got it. You're going to be fine now. And it just happened to be my birthday, April 30th, 1990. And I realized, what's the point? And on my website, I have on there my pledge to the universe. Thank you for my life and my sanity. And if you wish, I will work for you the rest of my life. I call it the red brick effect. They can't get your attention. You're going to be hit with something so big, it will wake you up. My awoke, my that moment that I awoke was the moment the cancer was so severe that I was going to die. And I said, there has to be more. And then I'd always had this gift, and I never, it's just, and then Spirit took over 1 week later, coming home from Auburn. Oh, honey, let's go shopping at Sunrise Mall. I got in there and they told me to leave, and it was that push out the door. Like, oh, 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 I just wanted to go shopping. Window shopping. I'm not a wealthy woman. Ended up in Spirit of Grace, May 4th, 1990. The rest of my life started that night. The passion to be alive was the search for truth.
Mhm.
Why am I here? All that suffering for what? You know, it's really hard, but I was so hungry to find out why we're here. And now I know. It's marvelous. And I'm still at it.
Absolutely.
I
Well,
hope I
guys,
inspired somebody to get into this.
it's 8:30.
I know it. I can't. Well, that's what happens. You put me on, I'm going to talk.
Yeah, we're gonna talk.
I never have
So,
I always have stories, and
so
it's
like I said,
endless.
Nancy could get to readings tonight. She's gonna get to them, but we're not going to. So next week,
We're going to do it next week.
next week. So what questions do we want them to focus on?
I think it should be open ended. I
Okay.
want direct question. I
Okay.
don't want you to say, I'm really happy with my life. What should I do? One lady called and she says, what career should I do? Please, have you looked at
Right.
the yellow pages of the telephone book, how many jobs there are? Now I can go into your brain and feel how it feels to be who you are, but that doesn't tell. That's another thing too. When I started 32 years ago, everybody got married, had children, had particular careers that
Mm-hmm.
kind of like delineated all the careers we have. Last 15, 20 years, I got my first website in 1996. You know how many jobs have been created because of the internet? You think I can remember all that stuff? So I can give you feelings and impressions,
Mm-hmm.
but make it, if you want to see, if you want to talk about who's in your life as a dead person, or if you have a child, you want to know how they're doing. I'm really good with children, what they look like as teenagers and as adults, and the career path it may feel like what I'm saying. The children of today, they're 10 and younger, are going to be having jobs that haven't even been invented yet.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that for a moment. Wow, right? Fun, guys. I really love doing this. The passion for this. I hope you see it in me to want to do it yourself. No, I only have very few clients every once in a while that it's hard. I had a little girl that was very unhappy with her life and didn't want to live anymore. She's very depressed. Those are the hard ones. I've been hospice trained twice, and I dealt with a lot of people. But when it's 20-year-old and she's beautiful and she's young, you know, just really that's the hard stuff. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want anybody to call in and say, I kill myself. Who's please, right? I'll be angry because I deal with a lot of people who are not physically healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And how dare somebody who's got physical body that's healthy, you don't want to take the next breath.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
So now we're looking forward to 200 more shows. We hope. It's
I
been a
hope you
while,
guys
guys.
had fun.
Me
Remember the
too.
thumbs up for our show, and go and
Oh yeah. Look
subscribe
at that. There we go.
at
Okay.
yeah on
I can
YouTube if
never
you
figure
do
out where the
go there.
camera is. Okay, right here. Yeah. Okay.
There, and if you have time, go to YouTube and subscribe so you can find out when I'll be on again or some
Yeah.
other guest.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And if
we want to know who you would like or the type of shows, so that
yes,
she isn't interviewing 100 people of different categories. Let's narrow it
right.
down so you get who you want to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're doing. That's what we want. And if you're watching from Facebook, please follow. Hit that follow button. Same thing with Twitch. And again, if YouTube, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. It's that little guy down in the bottom right hand corner with the magnifying glass and the Sherlock Holmes hat on.
I think there's a
Because he,
ghost.
yes, it's a little ghosty guy. See, that's Caesar's ghost. That's me, Caesar's ghost.
Okay, okay.
So anyway, Yeah, and that way that'll tell you when Nancy's going to be back on.
And
Right?
she's going to post my websites now.
Yes. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to have that at the end. So you can see Nancy's website, how to contact her for reading if you want a reading, anything like that. But I thank you all. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart, especially the ones that came on in the beginning when I started doing this, and I really looked awkward on TV.
Oh my gosh, my shows and things I've done. The first few.
It's scary to
I
look
took
at.
some classes and I didn't know how to connect to the people. I said, help everybody. It's really crazy.
I had no clue. Even though I had all those classes to do it in the other room, I had no clue. And then Monica was sending me stuff like mics and everything, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I
Yeah.
think I started out with headsets on. I think I was using a headset like yours, then I went to all
Just like
this.
tonight. What's wrong? I just used the same set. Then
Yeah,
luckily I had brought this. Why did this one work and not that one?
yeah. You
Of
never
course,
know
the
what's gonna
computer did crash and it said Foxfire. Was it Fox?
Foxfire,
Firefox crashed.
Firefox. Yeah.
Firefox
You
crashed.
got
I
me
went,
saying Foxfire.
when did that happen? But it did do it earlier today too. All right,
So,
kids. Everybody,
so
I've enjoyed talking to you.
yep. So Monday now, or Sunday, of course, we're going to be reading more of Lizzie Borden. I think it's still going to be dark, but not like it was. It got, and I don't think Nancy was listening. It got dark because we were in Lizzie's head. But we're going to continue with Lizzie Borden. It's a longer book, and again, we're going to get to the part where we get to the end of the trial, and she gets. I think she got exonerated. If I remember, I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then she moves into the other house, and the other house is haunted as well as the B&B.
Well, the
So
B and
we're
B is still
yeah.
haunted.
So we're going to be talking. That's going to be part of this book. Once we continue with that. So yeah, so we got a ways to go, but we're trucking along with that. And then Monday, medium Mark Anthony is going to be with us.
He's really good too.
He's really good, and he likes to study ancient history, and he has talked to and studied King Tut.
Ooh.
So we're going to be
Oh,
talking to him about that on Monday.
Steve Martin
Oh
on
my God,
Saturday Night
yeah, when we
Live.
do King Tut, dun, 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 dun,
Oh
dun,
my
dun.
gosh, I'd love that.
That is just
Kids are
fantastic.
too young. Look up Steve Martin
Yeah,
at King Tut Saturday Night Live. It's
it's a
wonderful.
classic. So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to be doing the next couple days. So I will see you guys on Sunday, and I'm going to be working on content creation this weekend. I think we'll see how that goes. The dog ate my homework a few nights ago, so I had to rewrite all my stuff I was going to do for content creation, and I finally got
Oh,
the scripts rewritten up. But that's what happens when you have a 3-year-old. That's what you're going to get. So
yep.
you had to laugh. But anyway, I thank you guys for coming, and I thank you guys for your support. And please share this with everybody you can think of. Everybody.
Why not?
Like I always say, if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 people.
Well, I hope we inspire you to want to watch us more
Yes.
and enjoy this because our intent is to teach and inform and
Yes.
make your life better.
Yes.
It's more interesting to know
So we're
more.
equal opportunity here.
Yeah.
And both my websites, the paranormal website is californiahaunts.org. And the
Yeah.
radio website. And like I said, you guys have these ideas for the shows, email them because
Mhm.
I'll get them faster over there at californiahauntsradio.com. That's the radio website, the actual website. So that's the place to do that. But I appreciate you, Nancy. I appreciate you.
Yep.
I've known you forever. It's all good, you know. And we'll just keep on trucking. Next show, boom,
At least,
201.
all right, kid.
Okay, have a good one, Nancy.
Good night, everybody. Nice to visit with you.
Okay, so I did part of my ending, and as always, I'm going to ask you for goodies. And um, for people that didn't get a win tonight, we're going to be doing it. We'll do it again. We'll do it again sometime. Okay, just remember next time Nancy's going to be doing some readings. So you see that ticker at the bottom of the page. That's because everything I do comes out of my pocket, and that includes paranormal equipment for the team and all that stuff. So you can find it in your heart to help me out because we do want to keep bringing these guests to you. In fact, I'm surprised we made it, like I said, to 200 shows. But it's through your donations and stuff that we've been able to do that. So I really appreciate that. You can do that at paypal.me at California Haunts, or you can do it at Venmo and then type in California Haunts. With that being said, I'm going to kick you into what Nancy, how to get a hold of her and stuff. So here we go. Websites, nancymatz.com, nancymatzauthor.com, and remember the N, the M, and the A is capitalized, and then youtube.com/Nancy Matz Psychic. Again, the help is the help. The book is Help, Get Me Out of This Funk. Two Worlds, Developing Your Psychic Skills. And Unwilling Sacrifice. And of course, you can get those at Amazon.com. And we will get those books for the winners out to you as soon as we can, because it's the weekend. You know how that stuff goes. So we're going to take care of you. And send me your addresses at CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com. Okay? So I have them. All right, guys. See you on Sunday.